All right, I believe we are live. What's going on, everybody? Make sure I sound okay. Just let me know. I'm going to listen to myself real quick. Hang on. Sounds pretty good. So, we're talking all things Oscars, and be sure to, you know, type in the chat, leave your picks and predictions. That's what I'm going to be going through. It's just my who I think is going to win, who I want to win, kind of stuff like that. If you've ever seen many, I'm not the only person that does this, but plenty of people make Oscar predictions videos, and so that's what I'm doing right now. With the live stream, this is the first time that I've done it because in years past, I've done like recorded videos, edited, and I've always found that unfortunately they don't do as well as I might hope they do. When I, set out to make them, I always hope that they do good for the channel and good for the content. And sometimes that just doesn't happen. So I was like, okay, let me experiment by doing a live stream this time. So I was initially going to have a guest. Unfortunately, things fell through, but here I am. So you guys get me. But we're gonna go through it all and just talk about movies, and it's a fun time to be a movie fan right now. So let's let's start by doing this. For costume design, I'm gonna go, starting from the below the line to ending with best picture. Basically, we have 5 obviously very deserving um, picks here, and it gets to be you have Avatar: Fire and Ash, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and Sinners. Below the line stuff is stuff that not, I think it's hard. I think it's going to be really for the technical stuff. Frankenstein has been doing very well for the most part, so I think it's easy to predict Frankenstein for this and other ones, which we'll get to in a second. And so, in terms of what I would pick, me personally, I feel like I would go with Sinners. I feel like the costumes there are just, but I mean, like all of these are good. Avatar: Fire and Ash was the one that this is one where a lot of people were like, "Really, Avatar gets a nomination here?" And obviously did. So I would go. My pick would be Sinners. You can see my cursor, and then my prediction is going to be Frankenstein. Moving up with best cinematography. Now, this is also a below the line stuff. I know I just talked about how Frankenstein seemingly is going to be winning a lot of that stuff. For this one, though, I think it really comes down to one battle, Sinners and Train Dreams. My personal pick would be Train Dreams. I think that every shot looks like a painting, and to do that effectively in a movie, I mean, it's incredible how you can do that. It's really impressive. So that would be my pick. I just think it's just such a beautiful film. It was my favorite movie of last year. If you didn't check out that video, obviously check it out on the channel. But I think that cinematography really is going to come down to one battle who has both most of the kind of the other awards going into it. It has, both most of the precursors going into it. So, and I believe it just won the cinematographers guild, I believe, awarded. The name of that is blanking me right now, but I think one battle is going to take it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sinners gets it because Autumn Durald Arkapaw, who, is a cinematographer on that film, they've never awarded it to a female cinematographer before. So you have that going for it too. And I wouldn't be surprised if that, I mean, it's like the fact that a female cinematographer hasn't won up to this point, it's obviously it's not great, and it's long past. It should be a cinematographer. Obviously, it really comes down to what was the best, and I think that Sinners. There's an argument to be made that it was the best cinematography of last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sinners ends up winning, but I really do think it's gonna be one battle, to be honest. And then going into, so we did costume design, cinematography. visual effects, this is the Avatar winner, right? I mean, like the Avatar visual effects are some of the best ever put to film. I believe Avatar has always won every time it has been nominated. So I think that's just really what it comes down to. Why? I mean, it looks beautiful, and it's just hard to vote against it. Obviously, you have actually the Lost Bus is a very inspired nominee because I feel like it's a movie that could be very easily overlooked, and it wasn't. Obviously, the visual effects branch wanted to reward it, and that's who ends up creating the list of the nominees. It's the branch of said category. So, the Lost Bus, I really think it's a visually it's very impressive. All these movies are really impressive. There's not one that I'm really like, yeah, I don't wouldn't give that edge to it, but I really think that, it's gonna come down to Avatar, and my pick would probably have to be, I think Avatar too, really. I mean, it deserves it. It looks visually spectacular, so there's that. Moving on to what's the next one? We have best sound. This is, um, a tough one because Surratt really is another inspired nominee. The sound there is a character in the movie. It becomes this it's such a powerful presence in the movie. The movie really revolves around the sound and the sound design in a lot of ways because you're dealing with music and this like rave festival. And so I really like that it got recognition, but I think my prediction is going to be F1. It is one, no pun intended, where I think that it could be it could go to a Syrah. That could be super interesting. I don't think it's going to. It could also go to a Sinners, where Sinners, a lot of people are projecting that there's going to be a surprise kind of below the line win for Sinners here, and then it could potentially go on to win Best Picture. I'm not so sure about that. I think the safe bet here is F1. I mean, the racing sequences, they're incredible, and I think that it really would be a great win. So I'm totally down for it to win. But in terms of my pick, I would say Syrah. You know what? Why not? I really did not like that. I didn't hate it. I just didn't really like it either. So I'm like really in the middle on it. But I really like that it's there. So I think that might be my pick. But my prediction is going to be F1. For film editing, you have another really interesting category. Not terribly in terms of, I think that most people are going to say that the predicted win is going to be One Battle. The edit there for that movie, it's a movie with a long runtime, but I remember coming out of it, actually one of the first things I thought was like, that is a really tight edit, and I think that it's very impressive. And so in terms of my pick, I think I would have to give to One Battle. Sinners is another movie that is a very, you know, it's a it's oh, but I'm blanking on the runtime. I'm pretty sure it's like somewhat over 2 hours, and I feel like watching it on the rewatch, I was like, "Wow, this movie really flies by." So I wouldn't hate that either, but I think my pick and prediction is going to go to One Battle. Marty Supreme editing it there is also really good too. But for the most part, I think actually the movie could have been trimmed a little bit, but like for the most part, again, it's really good. But I think pick and prediction, One Battle. Going into best production design, this is one where I think the Frankenstein really creeps back into play here. I think that Frankenstein is going to be the winner here. My pick might have to go to Sinners. I think the movie, like the big centerpiece of it, is like the kind of barn, if you will, where most of the movie takes place. And I think that it's such a lived-in kind of set. I think visually the sets really shine there, and going back into that time period, it's just incredible. So that's gonna have to be my pick is gonna go to Sinners. My prediction is going to go to Frankenstein. I mean, Frankenstein, the sets there are just incredible too, so like I don't hate it. Best animated feature film. My pick would be Zootopia 2. That was my favorite animated film of last year. Disney seemingly always makes their way into the Oscars, most of the time deservedly so. Sometimes you have movies that aren't great from Disney that still make it, but regardless, I do think that K-pop is going to win. It's really a juggernaut, especially when you go into the music category, which we'll get to in a second. But like the only movie that I don't like here is Arco. That was a head scratcher for me. I just don't like that movie. So I wasn't really a fan of it, and I'm just not crazy that it got nominated. But I was just thinking about that earlier. Like I think the name recognition there, you have producers and you have Natalie Portman being a big producer on it. You have a great voice cast too. It has a lot of big names surrounding it too. Then you have Neon, a big distributor, backing it. So like it makes sense on paper why it's here, but at the same time, I'm also kind of like I don't really like it, so it wouldn't be my pick. But I digress. Moving on, we have Best International Feature Film, and this is one that really comes down to The Secret Agent versus Sentimental Value. I think most people would agree. I kind of went back and forth on this, thinking about it before this. I would have to say that my prediction is going to be I'm gonna go with my gut here. I think The Secret Agent wins. I do think The Secret Agent wins. Like, Sentimental Value has the nominations, but I feel like it's gonna go home with not a win tomorrow. I just don't think it's gonna win anything actually. Which spoiler for later categories. But anyways, I think The Secret Agent is very popular. A lot of people like it. I wasn't crazy about it, but I think it's a movie that it feels very timely, and it's one that I think, especially with Wagner Moura being a Best Actor nom, I think there's a lot of love for it, and I think that's going to take it. But honestly, my pick would probably have to be It Was Just an Accident. That was I think it was in my top 20 of last year. I thought that was just a great film. The Voice of Hinder Job is another great film, very hard to watch. Seurat, like I said, I wasn't crazy about it. And Sentimental Value, it's one that I thought was just like good. I really wanted to love it. I didn't though. But moving on, and be sure as we go through this, if you haven't already, give the stream a like. That helps boost the support for the channel, of course, and subscribe if you haven't already. If this is your first time seeing me, welcome to the channel. We obviously do mostly reviews, but sometimes we'll have fun. And because I am such a big fan of the Oscars and predicting, I've spent the last couple days just watching so much content revolving around it. And so if you are new here, you like this kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button and share the video. We want more people to see it. When you go to the kind of short categories, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I unfortunately didn't get around to the one that I wanted to watch for this one, which was All the Empty Rooms. It's possible that I turn it on after this stream or watch it tomorrow before, because I think it's going to win. I just don't feel I feel like I just don't really feel like it's like really cool for me to just like make a pick when I haven't seen every single one of them here. So I'm gonna kind of take it out there. So I'm not even gonna give a pick for this one. And for whatever reason, we don't have more short categories. We have documentary feature film. This is one where I think it's going to come down to the bottom two, Mr. Nobody Against Putin and The Perfect Neighbor. And a lot of people are actually kind of coming around to suggesting it's going to be Mr. Nobody Against Putin, which I haven't seen. I've heard good things. I believe Kino Lorber is behind that one. I don't really think that's going to happen. I do think it's just going to go down to The Perfect Neighbor, which is extremely hard to watch, extremely hard to stomach. It's one of those movies where, when the kind of event that the movie revolves around happens, I couldn't help but feel so emotional and feel like it felt like there was just kind of a weight on my chest. And I felt that, and it's so heavy. It's such a heavy film. It's hard to kind of recommend for that, but it has Netflix backing it. I believe it did really good numbers. I'd be surprised if it didn't, because Netflix, obviously, they have a lot of true crime stuff on there, whether it's documentaries or narrative stuff. But I think that The Perfect Neighbor is going to win it. It's a great documentary. I think it's really impactful, and that's a sign of a really good documentary. But for me, my pick would have to be Come See Me in the Good Light, which is one that I didn't even watch before the end of last year. I wanted to, but I just couldn't get around to it. And then when it got nominated, I was like, okay, I got to give this a shot. And I was so emotional watching that movie. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. Another one that is really hard to watch because you're, like, kind of sitting in this dread, and it's so heavy because you're dealing with someone who is at the end, inching towards the end of their life, and it's just a beautiful. We have a beautiful subject at the center here, and just the story, the romance, it all just feels. I felt so connected to it by the end of it, and that's why I feel that I became so emotional watching it. I think that it really just hits home. Well, I think a lot of people, it's going to hit home in a really emotional way, and I think whether you can relate to it, if you dealt with it, regardless, I think that it just hits all the right notes. And in my opinion, like, even though it is a simplistic documentary, kind of in terms of its storytelling and kind of has its format, but really just effectively emotional. And if you successfully win me over to the point where, like, I'm in tears, I'm going to give you kind of a little bit of the edge. I think that it's really just that's why it's my pick over The Perfect Neighbor. But Come See Me in a Good Light, if you haven't seen it, on Apple TV. It's hard to watch. Another one that's hard to recommend, but it's so powerful. But The Perfect Neighbor is, I almost said the Secret Neighbor. The Perfect Neighbor is really an effective documentary too, and I think that it's gonna win. Then, again, not another short category. Okay, we have best original song. This is the one that just comes down to Golden. Golden is just a. I mean, I said that K-pop Demon Hunters is a juggernaut. Like, this song is a major part of that. It's integral to the story too, and I think that that is a sign of a good. I really like when a song, and especially in a nomination here with a big award ceremony, when a song is integral to the story. There are some great songs that have been written for the end credits or whatever makes it a part of the movie, but I think that I really like that they're giving recognition to a song that is such an important piece to the movie. It's, looking into the lyrics, it's very catchy. It's very. I would have loved to have seen Soda Pop too. I remember watching it. I was like, I think I might like Soda Pop more, but Golden, having just listened to it more and more. Obviously, it's incredibly popular with families and younger audiences, so it deserves it. It's very catchy. That's a sign of a great song, in my opinion, too. Um, in terms of everything else, I Lied to You. It's the performance in the movie itself, I think, kind of makes it what it is in a lot of ways. Obviously, you have Miles Caton too, his beautiful vocals. And I'm not like digging on like the lyrics or anything. I think it's a very impressive song, but I think that because of the musical sequence in the movie, I think that that's what I think of more before the song itself, if that makes sense. But I feel like the song, what is it? Last Time I Seen the Sun was actually one that I liked more. So um, I mean, but regardless, Sinners deserves the love, and I don't like. Do I see a world where it wins? Yeah, I could see a world where it wins. I could see a world where someone, pulls out the card and the Oscar goes to "I Lied to You" from Sinners. I was like, oh shit, like that it could happen. But I do feel like Golden just has it. Obviously, it's won so much leading up to this. It deserves it. Dear Me, Diane Warren, Relentless. I didn't watch that. So I can't really comment on it. The Train Dreams song from Train Dreams is not like the most memorable part about that movie for me. So like but I love that Train Dreams got more love. So whatever. But and then Viva Verde, that was just the most head scratching nomination. Um, I just don't think anyone knew it existed, and I fall into that camp too. Going up to best casting, the first time this category is going to be in the Oscars. And I think, it's a category specifically in the people that do get nominated. It's something that I'm looking forward to learning more about the casting directors and the people that go into the process, because it's something that I'm kind of unfamiliar with. And I think that's going to shine a light for more people too, which is another great advantage of it. And I think that it's going to be Sinners, because even though I don't know if Sinner's going to take the big prize, which we'll get to in a second, I do think that the casting there was just spectacular. Everyone can unanimously agree that I don't even know if there was one performance that I would change, if there's one actor that I would substitute. That's a sign. one of the big signs in my opinion, but the same goes for Secret Agent. I think that they highlighted a lot of actors that most people have never really seen before. There's, like, background actors, people that have never acted before. That's another cool thing. One battle after another. I mean, in terms of if there was an ensemble award, I might give it to One Battle. This is not an ensemble award. Marty Supreme, great casting there too. Similar kind of deal where you have people that hadn't acted before. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but who lends his apartment, his parents' apartment to Marty and his girlfriend, who played by Odessa Zion. I feel like I saw a video where he hadn't acted before. I could have this wrong, and kind of I believe this casting director stumbled upon them on Instagram or something like that. I could have it wrong, but that's another good sign of someone who can, really go digging for someone for a character and then bring it to said director. You have the Safdie, it's Josh for this one, I believe, and bring it to him and go, "Hey, I think this guy would be perfect for the role." And then obviously it becomes like one of the more memorable parts about the movie. Hamnet, another really great cast there too. All these would be really deserving, but I think Sinners is going to take it, and I would say it's my pick too. Maybe One Battle could be my pick too, kind of. Uh, but I really want to do one pick for each category, so I'm going to go to Sinners. Let's just do it. Okay, now we have the short category. Another one. This is one I saw, Retirement Plan. That is the one here that I watched. I tried to pick the ones that I thought were gonna win so I could kinda comment on it, but it looks like it might not win anymore. We'll see. But my prediction, actually, I believe it's gonna be Butterfly, learning more about it, learning more about the subject matter. It sounds like something the Academy, um, kind of is attracted to, dealing with war and, I don't know the real specifics of it other than that, but, if it's available to watch online, if anyone knows in the chat, feel free to let me know. I can obviously look this up too. I might watch it before tomorrow just to kinda give it a look, but I think Butterfly is gonna win, just from the chatter I've seen online. Okay, now we're jumping to screenplay. Okay, let's do it. I was surprised to see Blue Moon here. Actually, before doing this stream, I kind of just completely forgot. I thought that it had a lone nominee for whatever reason, but here it is. And this is Robert Kaplow's um, second screenplay. Uh, I believe he did another Linklater film probably like 20 years ago. And then I don't know what he's been up to, but I was just looking into him and I was like, huh, that's interesting. Um, I think that this is where Coogler might get his only win of the night. It's possible, but um, it's very deserving. The screenplay there is just obviously it's in a lot of ways you have it's laying the groundwork for the rest of the movie. Obviously, you have the writing is one of the key things, and Sinners, its screenplay, it's so original, it's so fresh, it's blending genres, it's incredibly ambitious. I think it really lands. It's went from a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, or like A or A minus to me to kind of like a 5 out of 5, A plus, just on repeat viewing. It's was my second favorite movie of the year. I think that in a lot of ways, well, actually, I'm gonna save that for later in terms of what I think is going to win Best Picture. But I believe that this might be, again, like I said, the only time Ryan Coogler gets on the stage, but I would love to see it. I think that it's a great screenplay. Like the Marty Supreme screenplay, I think there could have been aspects that could have been trimmed down a little bit, maybe kind of taking one of the moving pieces out. It's a movie that I feel like kind of loses steam in the second act, and I think that that's where you kind of could have removed something, maybe just like another rewrite. But still, like, it's a great film. It was one of my favorites of last year. It was just an accident. That is where the screenplay really, that's a movie where the screenplay shines. And I love that it has a nomination here. And Jafar Panahi, I don't believe there's been an update. hope he can be at the ceremony tomorrow. I don't know if he's made an announcement if he's going to be there. I really hope he does though. Um, and yeah, I feel like those are kind of my thoughts. And like I said, Sentimental Value is a movie that I really just thought was pretty good, and I'm upset that I didn't like it more. Maybe I have to give it another viewing, another one of these days. But excuse me, as of right now, my pick and prediction is going to be Sinners, adapted screenplay. We have, uh, I really love what Train Dreams again. It was my favorite movie of last year. I love. I was unfamiliar with the source material, so I can't say in terms of how it is an adaptation, but I do love the simplicity of the screenplay and just kind of how it hits all the emotional beats. It delivers really everything that I could hope for in a dramatic film in a lot of ways. Um, so I would love to see that. And actually, Greg Hodar, who I met um, at a Sing Sing festival screening, he was there to present along with one of the actors in the film, and I got to meet him. I have a photo with him, and he was so nice. And it's one of those kind of celebrity interactions that I'll always remember. And I think he deserves all of his success. And this is his what second or third nomination in like 5 year span. That's very incredible, especially for someone who is like I feel like most people don't really know him, but he's actually behind some of like most people's favorite movies of the past couple of years. And obviously, Clint Bentley is his writing partner here, so I would love to see that, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Train Dreams is actually not going to win anything tomorrow night, unfortunately. I think that the this award's going to go to Paul Thomas Anderson. It could be one of three that he wins or that he gets on stage for tomorrow. Um, and this is someone who has been nominated, what, 7+ times before. I could have the number wrong. With one battle, he might have like 11 plus something. I don't know. I forget the number, but he deserves it because that is a feat. It's a movie that is obviously adapting material is hard. I think it's a lot of ways a loose adaptation from what I've heard. Again, not familiar with the source material, but it's obviously one of the best films of last year. A lot of people's favorite best of the year. Hamnet, the adaptation, again, I don't know why I keep saying that. I can't comment on the adaptation, but it's a very moving, emotional story, and I think that the screenplay um, is it really just delivers. All these deliver, except for Frankenstein. Like I think that the writing could have been better, to be honest. I really ended up thinking Frankenstein was just pretty good. It wasn't one. I think that there could have just been a couple things kind of fleshed out more in the writing. Maybe removed a couple things too. But Begonia, I thought that was really just great. I wish that I got to see it in like the kind of window. If you don't know, like I like to if I don't see a movie either in an early screening for one Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday is like the last day on opening weekend. If I don't see it then I decide that I don't think it'll be good numbers wise to review it and post a video, a dedicated video to it. And so then I'll kind of just, watch it later on and log on Letterboxd. So if you're curious into kind of my process of it, there you go. There's a little insight. But I really wish that I got to talk about it because I think it's just such a great film. And I watched it and I was kind of like, oh my God, like I really, really like this. But pick and prediction. I actually don't know what my pick's gonna be. I might go. My pick is gonna be Train Dreams prediction one battle. There we go. Okay, this is the last short category. I watched The Singers. And it's funny. I think that there's more. There's more that goes into it, but I think that a lot of people when your project has a weird name for whatever reason in these nominees, they go for like these shorts with weird names. I remember a couple years ago, I forget who it was, but when they were announcing the Oscar nominations for that year, they were laughing during this whatever category it was for short film, and it got some laughs in the room too. I can't remember who it was. I'm gonna think of it at 2 a.m. tomorrow. But I think that my I'm not gonna again calling my pick like just by default. It would be The Singers because that's the only one I watched. I I do think there's a chance that The Singers ends up being the winner here. Just from kind of what I've been seeing online, a lot of speculation. But I think the easy prediction is going to be two people exchanging saliva. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna go with that for my prediction. But I'm kind of like 60% on the two people exchanging saliva, like 40% on the Singers train. I think that it's either gonna be one of those for sure. Then there's some ads. Cool. Best original score. The What was my favorite score of the year? Was it on this list? I can't think off the top of my head. The Train Dream score is really one of my favorites. I kind of wish I got some recognition here. But there were just so many good scores from last year. I really liked One Battle's score for sure. Sinners, though, that would probably be my pick. That the music there, obviously, the music being such an important piece to the overall movie itself. So Sinners would have to be my pick in prediction to Ludwig is going to win. This will be his third, I believe. Like that's in, I mean, you're going into the conversation if he's not already there for top 10 composer of all time. Um, Maybe some people will put him in the top 5. To be honest, he's just him and Ryan Coogler when they work together, they make magic. Best makeup and hairstyling. Here is another inspired nomination with The Ugly Stepsister. The Ugly Stepsister is a movie that is so gross and in a lot of ways hard to watch because of just how extreme and gory it can be. But the makeup there, it's a fairly lower budgeted film when compared in comparison to a lot of these movies too. But I think it's just so impressive, and I love that it got a nomination here. So that'll be my pick. In terms of my prediction, it's going to be Frankenstein. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Frankenstein. I believe that has a lot of precursors going in as well. Sinners, though, especially the vampire work, that's where I think the makeup and hairstyling really shines for me. So that's where, excuse me, I would. Kokoho is a movie that I really wasn't crazy about, but the makeup and hairstyling was a real highlight of it. And the same kind of goes for the Smashing Machine. I like that movie more. I thought it was actually pretty good, a little overhated. And I really like The Rock's performance in the makeup there. He becomes a chameleon in a lot of ways due to the makeup and hairstyling. But my pick would have to be To the Ugly Stepsister. Really, just I love that nomination. I really do. And prediction is going to go to Sin. Nope, I lied. Frankenstein. um, Best director. Now we're kind of getting into the above the line, kind of the bigger main categories. A lot of people get excited about. This is where it really is going to come down to Paul Thomas Anderson versus Sinners, or excuse me, Ryan Coogler. It depends on who's going to go win Best Picture for from how I see it. I think statistically how typically goes, and because of what I'm going to talk about later, I think Paul Thomas Anderson is still going to win. He is still my prediction. I think that Paul Thomas Anderson is going to be the one to win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Coogler went on stage and he wins more than one award tomorrow night. I really would like to see that because he is the mastermind behind that entire film. Obviously, he has a lot of people he's working with to make it and bring his vision to life. Obviously, all of these people do. But Ryan Coogler, such a visionary in a lot of ways. Paul Thomas Anderson, though, this is a long overdue Best Director win. He has widely regarded like one of the more strong filmographies of most directors, and that's very impressive. But I really, I guess if the Joachim Trier, like if he won, it would be the weakest win, if that makes sense. but because I just don't really like that movie, and I think that I loved what he did with The Worst Person in the World, and that's why I was really more bummed out with Sentimental Value. But, I really think I would actually probably he would be the one that I would substitute for someone else, but putting that aside, Ryan Coogler is my yeah, he's my pick. Even though I'm praising so much of Paul Thomas Anderson, I do think that Coogler is my pick. My prediction, Paul Thomas Anderson. Moving up, oh, we have Best Supporting Actor. This is one of the harder ones, but maybe it shouldn't be a harder one. I think that most people might be kind of looking into it too much, but that's the thing with the Oscars and predictions, like, it's always when people are always gonna be looking into stuff, like, it's kind of like, that's what makes it fun, is looking into it and kind of the unpredictable nature of it, especially at times. I think that it's going to be Sean Penn, um, just because he has so much momentum going into it. Obviously, he's a two-time Oscar winner before, but he has just a lot of precursors going into it, and, like, he was one of my favorite performances of that movie, to be honest. Him and Leo, probably for my favorite performance of that movie. He's just he's so good. He's such a talented actor. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if Delroy Lindo wins and kind of pulls off this big surprise. I think most people are kind of going down that road and kind of actually going for him and actually thinking that he's gonna win. I just I just don't see it. I can't visualize it in my head. A lot of times for this stuff, I think most people can agree. Like if I can visualize it in my head, I can see it happening. I don't see I just don't see Delroy Lindo winning as of 8:40 on the East Coast right now on Saturday, March 14th. That's I just can't see it. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and maybe I'll have a dream and I'll see it and I'm gonna be like, shit, I should have said that. But I would say pick and prediction. I'm gonna go for both not Stellan Skarsgård, Sean Penn. Everyone, Benicio del Toro, that would have been really fun to see if he wins, but he has just such a small chance. Jacob Elordi, he's I think he's gonna get another shot in a lot of ways at an Oscar. I would say within the next 5 to 10 years for sure. So I think that he's gonna get more time to shine in a couple of years. But a lot of these guys are industry veterans, especially Delroy Lindo, who has been in the industry for so long, and a long overdue nomination, especially for *To Five Bloods*, which he was just snubbed. Best Actress. This is really one of the more easier ones. Not too much time to really be spent on it because there's nothing to really like kind of debate. Even like all this drama that can be started, I just don't. That's going to amount to nothing. Like Jessie Buckley is going to win, and it's going to be hers, and it's going to be very, very well deserved. That was probably my favorite female performance of last year. A lot of people would agree with, I think, too. And yeah, she was just such a powerhouse performance. So much emotion in her performance, and I think that she just delivered it wonderfully. And there's one scene in particular that is just it's just stuck in my brain. And I'm curious to see. I like to sometimes think about like what is the clip package when they show, like, sometimes they'll have years where they won't show clips with the nominees. Thankfully, this is not one of the years they confirmed that they will be showing clips. And I hope that I don't know what clip they're going to use for Jessie Buckley. I think there are some times where you can watch a performance and you go, "That's the clip." I'm curious to see what they do. That's a quick side note. I'm gonna say Best Actor because that's the one that has been hotly debated for a long time. Let's go into Best Supporting Actress. I'm gonna predict Amy Madigan. She's also gonna be my prediction, or no, excuse me, my pick. She's going to be my personal pick, and my prediction is going to be Amy Madigan. She was my favorite performance of that movie, and obviously people came out of that theater, myself included, being actually like I kind of feel ashamed to say this, but like I was not really familiar with Amy Madigan before this movie, but it has allowed me to go back into researching her career actually, like, forgetting that she was in Field of Dreams. Obviously, I've seen that movie, but I just kinda forgot that she was in there. This is someone who's been in the industry for a long time, has not really gotten this kind of coveted award, and, it's a very deserving performance for that. I think that she just steals the show in a lot of ways, and it's such a Oscar baity performance because she gets to just chew up the scenery and play a villain. Obviously, the Academy, um, has been fans of villains. We've seen that with Heath Ledger, we've seen that with Javier Bardem, um, amongst others, and, I loved her work there, and I would love to see her win, and I think she's going to win. But in terms of who would be an upset, I think that there is a chance Wumi Musaku pulls an upset, especially if Sinners takes the big prize. But I really just think Amy Madigan's gonna win. I can see it in my head. That's what I was just talking about. I guess that makes it to the end. So just yeah, let's finish with Best Actor. Best Picture. This is like the 2021 Oscars where they did Best Picture before Best Actor, and that was insane. Uh, Best Picture. I'm going to go. Final prediction, one battle after another. A lot of people predicting that Sinners is going to just like pull this clutch upset. I can't visualize it. I just can't. It feels the easier answer to predict is going to be one battle just because of all the momentum it has going into it being such a beloved film. Probably when we talk to most people in the film space, especially anyone who is a voter or not, someone that talks movies on YouTube like me or just writes letterbox reviews, I feel like most people's favorite movie of last year was One Battle After Another. While it wasn't my pick, I actually like Sinners over it. I think that because of just how much love One Battle has in it being such a, relevant film in terms of a lot of ways, most people will talk about how Best Picture wins really reflect the time. And I think that One Battle, in a lot of ways, does reflect our time. Sinners is because it's such a fantastical story of vampires. Like obviously we don't have vampires in real life, but because it's a in my opinion, it's a better movie. So it doesn't kind of fit the bill of kind of a reflection of our times, but I think that it would go down as one of the more. Is it crazy to say one of the more fun Best Picture wins in a bit of time? And it's just such an impressive film. Like both of them are such impressive films, but my pick would be Sinners. Prediction: one battle after another. I'm gonna be upset at myself if one battle doesn't win, and I'm gonna say, "Shit, I should have hopped on the train." But at the same time, I'm kind of telling myself, like, I don't want to always hop on the train. Like, I want to go with what I personally feel. And I think that one battle is going to win. But I'm not going to be upset if it does lose to, if one battle loses to Sinners because they're both just incredibly deserving films. But this idea that, like, I think there was a part of in terms of the past couple weeks, like, there was an idea that Hamnet could clutch up and kind of sneak in and kind of like just win it. I just don't see that. Trying to think if there's anything else to really comment on. I think that that's really what it is. But let's go back to Best Actor because this is the one that I'm having the hardest time visualizing in my head. What's gonna happen? It's really gonna come down to the only person I don't think has a chance of winning is Ethan Hawke. That would be one of the more surprising Oscar wins that I've ever seen if he were to somehow pull it off. Then, in terms of like a ranking in terms of who I think is most possible to win, excuse me, Ethan Hawke would be 5, Wagner Morris would be 4. There was a point in time in my head where I was kind of like, I could low-key see Mora winning. I don't see it happening anymore. Obviously, he got a lot of love. He's been doing a fantastic job campaigning, which is a big part of this is the campaign itself. And he's been I watched him on Kimmel. What was that? Maybe like less than 2 weeks ago. He was just awesome on there. And I think that he's just a really good people person. It seems like he can really just like I would follow him into war. I think that he seems like a strong leader. That's a great personality trait, to be honest. But I think so. Hawk at 5, Moore at 4, DiCaprio at 3. There's definitely some people that think that he could win. I don't see it. Then it comes down to second place and first place. Second place, a lot of people think that Jordan's going to win. I'm going to go Jordan at second place, and I think Chalamet still wins. With the SAG Awards, there's a lot of people thinking that because that was during, obviously, Oscar voting, there's a big portion of it that if people see you getting on a stage and accepting an award and giving like a great speech and being the leader of your film in a lot of ways, especially in front of the camera, obviously is the lead of the movie, doing doing a double role, like it would be such a deserving award for sure. And going and getting on that stage during the voting period and showing people and kind of reminding people just how much work you've been putting into the industry for all this time and kind of getting to the point in your career where it feels like a deserving win in terms, there's the idea that you kind of have to kind of work your way up, especially as an age. And like, there's this idea that Chalamet can't win because he's still too young and people really perceive him as being young and kind of arrogant. I, I don't know. I just, ever since his SAG award speech last year, which people will clip probably till the end of time just because he's talking about wanting to be one of the greats, and I think that it teetered that line of being not too arrogant, in my opinion, not too arrogant, but, like, not too kind of overly obsessed with yourself. I think that it was he just didn't do he did a good job of not coming across as, like, too cocky, um, and kind of not going into that too much, and I really liked that speech, and ever since then, I was kinda like, "I can't wait to see, this guy on the Academy Awards stage accepting an award." And I just think that tomorrow is the time for that to happen. Um, the idea that he is actually kind of in a lot of ways, people don't really like him and kind of just think that the nomination is enough and this actually isn't his time. Like, I could I could see it on paper, I could see that idea, and I can kind of, backing up all the points, and I can say, "Okay, that makes sense." But to me, I just don't really buy into the fact that, like, this whole kind of the drama with the opera and his comments on kind of stage performances and stuff like that, like, I still think he's gonna be accepting it tomorrow. And, now this is on footage, there's recorded footage of me saying that, and then we can look back on it, and if he doesn't win, then you can look back on it and say, "Well, he was wrong," and I can say, "Yep, I was wrong." And I'm okay with being wrong. Like, even I think if you become so obsessed with all this stuff and you're not content with being wrong, like, I feel like you're doing it for just you're just not really being a good player in the game of, Oscar betting and Oscar predicting, even though I'm not betting on anything. Um, but yeah, no, I think that, I don't really wanna go back and forth on it. I wanna stick with what if what I'm really thinking. That does it for my predictions and picks. Now we're gonna transition into, kind of talking, answering your questions if you guys have any quick questions you wanna discuss. But if not, then, we can wrap up shortly. But, let's start at the beginning of the chat. I'm gonna remove this, and then we're gonna go we have some love in the chat. We have the cinematography of Train Dreams is unbelievable, rooting for this. Yeah, it was unbelievable. It just looks like I said, it looks like a painting. Like, I wanna frame some of these shots and just put them on a wall, put them on a canvas, and just put it on the wall. Sully Streams is in the chat. Glad to see you here. Obviously, we saw each other, excuse me, last night because both of us saw Project Hail Mary, and my review will be up, I believe, tomorrow is when I plan on posting it. I have to edit it still. But spoiler alert, very, 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 very good. He said Marty Supreme sweep incoming, please. I think Marty Supreme is going to go home empty-handed tomorrow. Or why did I just say that? I just literally told you that I think Timothée Chalamet is going to win. I'm not thinking. Timothée Chalamet is going to win. He's going to be the only part of Marty Supreme's nominations in terms of wins. I think it's not going to win anything else. I guess in my head, I just have this idea that Marty Supreme is going to go home winning nothing, because I've seen people online saying it's going to home winning nothing. But no, I'm convinced that Timothée Chalamet is going to win still. So he'll be the one aspect of it that gets it a win. Talking about, let's see. I would love if the secret agent wins it, but I don't believe it. Yeah. If we were talking about, this is during the international feature category. I know that you have a lot of love for Brazil, obviously. But yeah, it's I love that you love it. I love that you love that it would win. I personally, it would not be my pick. But it's a film that's obviously very beloved. Let's see. Yeah, he says leave a like if you don't remember. Please do. Marissa Tomei's effect on Ragnar wins. Yeah, that is something that I saw people talking about online. And what was that? That was what my cousin Vinny she won for. Yeah, it's a funny comparison. In terms of the, kind of, do I believe all the drama could affect it? Like, I think there's part of me that could believe that it was just like the wrong time, and all this stuff was like he commented on things that he shouldn't have commented on during like the key voting period, and he kind of just screwed himself over. That would be really unfortunate if all that came about, and he kind of just shot himself in the foot a little bit. And there were times, I think I was watching, what is the Oscar Expert, their video, kind of like the final predictions, and kind of talking, they were mentioning how he should have probably maybe not have commented on things, when you can just simply not comment on stuff if you don't want to comment on it, and sometimes kind of opening your mouth a little bit too much, in comparison to like someone like Leonardo DiCaprio, who people were talking about how, oh, why don't we know anything about this guy? And he smartly kind of just doesn't talk when he really doesn't feel like he has to talk, which is kind of like their counter argument to that. You think he's, yeah, I can see the flip flop if that's if you're saying, what, DiCaprio fourth, or and then putting Wagner in third, or what is your ranking? Let me know. Michael B. Jordan is winning Best Actor. You and so many other people. I wish that I could see it. I don't know. I feel like, I think it was last year. I can't remember what I said officially in my video, but I think I was predicting Demi Moore to win Best Actress over Mikey Madison. Yeah, now that I'm saying it, it sounds more familiar to me, because I remember I kind of hopped on the train and I saw, I mean, obviously there were other things, other kind of factors going into it. I couldn't really picture Nora winning so much, and I ended up winning so much. But when Mikey Madison won Best Actress, I was so surprised, because I thought that Demi Moore was going to win Best Actress after having won at SAG. And I don't think that's going to happen again this year. But again, I'm not going to be shocked. My reaction will probably be something across the lines of, shit, I probably should have guessed that. But, it's all love, because at the end of the day, like, movies win tomorrow. The idea is that movies get to be celebrated, and that's what makes it tomorrow. The best day of the year for a cinephile like me. Have my thoughts changed on The Secret Agent? In terms, I think my thoughts have kind of stayed the same. I think that it's still like a movie that I can't fall in love with. Um, in fact, friend of the channel, Ewan from Ewan Reviews, you guys know him. He saw the film like a couple nights ago, and we were texting about it. He liked it more than I did. I think he loved it actually. I just and I was talking about him like I wish I sent him my review and I was like, I wish, here, listen to my thoughts and, tell me if you agree and stuff like that. And um, it's good to talk about movies, especially when someone loves something that you might not have loved to kind of go back and forth on it and kind of compare your opinions in a lot of ways and kind of just talk about the things that you can appreciate about it, whatever. And my thoughts haven't really changed. I feel the same about it. I'm very conflicted on it. It's a movie that I can appreciate more than anything, and I love that so many people love it, and I love that so many people are rooting for it, especially tomorrow night, in most of the categories that it's nominated for. And my prediction is that it is going to win Best International Film, but I haven't really changed my thoughts on it now. I'm still just kind of like right in the middle, 2.5 out of 5. Would I give it a C or a C minus? Um, there are a lot of things that I started to, as I was watching, I was kind of like, oh, I really like where this is going, and then I was kind of like, especially the leg stuff. Like I still think about that scene and just being like, that is just too much. It's too much. Yeah, like you said, it is a very specific story to kind of its audience. It's definitely obviously it's so much about the Brazilian experience in terms of the dictatorship that went on during that time. And there are so many factors that go into it. But it's a movie that I wish I loved. I really do. Wagner won Cannes and Golden Globe. Leo won nothing very important, and obviously he's got his name with the Secret Agent as a highlight at the end of the campaign. Um, I think that like when you win an award at a film festival, especially like Cannes, is it crazy for me to think that like that stuff doesn't really carry over, especially when you get, you know, Cannes was however many months ago. We're coming, almost a year and like 2 months it'll have been since that film premiered, and I just don't really think that that stuff kinda carries over, like, especially momentum-wise. Like, I think that precursors, like, you're not really taking that stuff into account, especially when it comes to him and him potentially being a winner. Um, I just I don't know. I just don't really see that stuff kind of really having such an impact on whether he wins or doesn't. But the Golden Globes, that is particularly one thing that definitely comes into play, and I think that people saw him on stage and they were kinda like me especially, I was like, "You know what? Like, I really do like him." I think going back actually to this comment about have my thoughts changed, I think that I like his performance more. It's a performance that is really impressive because he's doing a lot of different stuff in the movie. Um, Because what isn't he's playing, from what I can remember, like, there's 2 characters at least that he's playing, when you go to the start of the movie and then at the end of the movie, um, kind of 2 versions of a lineage, and, yeah, I think that he is something like, I've grown more on his performance, and I really like that he's gotten a lot of love this season, um, but I just especially because it has come down to Michael B. Jordan really becoming kind of, like, sneaking in there and potentially winning, and the fact I didn't even talk about is the BAFTA aspect of it because Robert Aramayo won, um, and he's obviously not nominated for an Oscar. The movie hasn't come out yet. I hope to check that out and review it for you guys, uh, in the coming weeks, because the movie comes out a little over a month from now in the States, at least. Like, who was second if he didn't win? Like, who was going to win instead of him? But you can't think about that because he won at the end of the day. Like, you can guess about who could have been second, but he didn't. like he was one that won, no one else won, and that's just how it is. So we can't really go into play about who's second, but that just gets too into speculation territory, and like the really kind of gets really muddy there. And yeah, you're saying the Father and the Son. So yeah, but at the end of the day, like it's going to be such a fun ceremony tomorrow to watch. I'm curious to see what's going to be first. There'll definitely be one of the supporting categories. I feel like most of the time, isn't it best supporting actor that comes first typically, and then supporting actress will be sometime shortly after that, or maybe it'll be later in the show. I don't know. I just hope they don't do anything stupid like flip-flopping Best Picture and Best Actor like that, especially when it can go very poorly and just be received as something that was just such a head-scratching idea. Shouting out the 2022 or 1 ceremony. But regardless, no, 2021. But yeah, and then he's an incredible actor. You should watch him in Elite Squad. I believe that's on my watch list. But if not, I'm gonna definitely add it after this. But we're just about at the hour mark, and we've obviously gone through the picks and predictions. And I'm glad that I did this because, especially editing wise, if I were to have kind of recorded right behind me and then posted it, I would have had to spend a lot of time editing it, just going through all the footage. I probably would have recorded on upwards of an hour, like I'm probably doing right now. But I would have had to trim that all down, and it can be a lot sometimes. So I'm glad that I experimented with this, and maybe we'll do it again next year. Maybe we won't. We'll see. But I thank you all for joining and leaving your thoughts in the comments. Again, if you did enjoy this live stream, hit that like button. If this is your first time seeing this, welcome, and I'm glad that you're here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you enjoyed it especially. And look forward to more stuff coming soon. We have tomorrow, I'm probably going to be posting Project Hail Mary review. And I also have a review coming of a film that comes out this week called Late Shift, which is a foreign film, which was actually submitted for the Oscars, but fell short of a nomination. And there's just a lot of good stuff coming out. I can't wait to talk about it all. And, hopefully we'll do another live stream sometime soon. It's been far too long since I've done one. It's been almost 3 years, I think it was, when I was doing the math. So yeah, no, I'm glad that we did this, and maybe next time we'll have a special guest. We'll see. But thank you all for joining. Thank you all for doing this with me, and I can't wait to see what happens at the Oscars tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour earlier, so that's 4 p.m. On the West Coast, and obviously different time periods for other people that I can't think off the top of my head. But thank you all for joining, and big hugs from Brazil. Well, send my love to Brazil as well. Thank you so much for joining, and see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much.